Hold up, why do they doubt the kid? I'm about to prove them all wrong again. I got a low tolerance, cause they don't even know what the problem is. It's me. You waiting on the boy to fail, then hold your breath and face your death. Cause you play a roulette with each step I progress, no less. Go ahead and place your bet.
Welcome back, y'all. This is the Double M Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Jesus Dinero, here with my co-host,
Gato.
What do we got going on tonight, my man?
This Saturday for the Super Welterweight WBC title, it's Vergil Ortiz defending against Erickson Lubin. Let's talk about it.
So, as my man here said, we have Vergil Ortiz defending his WBC interim welterweight title up against Erickson Lubin. And listen, man, I actually think this is a pretty good fight. The reason I say it's pretty good is because both of these guys are a little bit of they don't mirror themselves. They're contrast to each other, but I think that they're both skilled enough in their particular traits that I feel like this would be a good fight. Erickson Lubin is a crafty guy, not so crafty that I feel like Vergil Ortiz can't land on him, but just crafty enough to make it interesting. Now, on the other hand, Vergil's a come-forward fighter. He's going to come through you, try and get as many punches landing on you, and just beat you down until you can't stand it no more. Obviously, Vergil Ortiz is going to come in with the power. At least that's the thought. You know, you never know. You can always be surprised. But I do think Vergil Ortiz would have the power in this particular issue. Now, it's going to come down to, can Vergil Ortiz land on Erickson Lubin enough to get him out of there? I don't think he's going to get him out of there. I do think it's going to go to the decision. Or if he does get him out of there, it's going to be late round. Again, Lubinson is just crafty enough to be able to stay on his feet, to be able to dodge a lot of punches, especially early on. That I feel like he can keep it interesting and maybe even win the match. I wouldn't be surprised by either dude winning. Both of these dudes are skilled enough. I feel like Vergil Ortiz just has a slightly bigger name than does Erickson Lubin. But apart from that, I feel like a pretty decent matchup for both of these guys. Now, the keys to victory here for Vergil Ortiz. You want to slow Erickson Lubin down, so attack the body. Attack the body, attack the body, attack the body. Most of Vergil's work is usually up top, but he does every once in a while make some body work, which I think that's what pays dividends for him, if I'm being honest. I feel like if he does that in this case, he'll end up winning the match by late stoppage. So I feel like the keys to victory for him is keep moving, keep the pressure on, body work until you see him slow down. I'm going to say if he does do body work early on, he'll slow down somewhere in the 7th, 8th, or 9th round, and at that point, you can start going in for the kill. Erickson Lubin, stay crafty, man. Keep moving. Use angles. Vergil Ortiz is terrible against dudes that use angles, so use all the angles you can on Erickson Lubin, and keep it interesting, man. Make sure to get in and out. Use your angles. 1-2 punches out. 1-2 punches out. And do that all night. I don't think there's really a scenario where I see Vergil Ortiz being stopped by Erickson Lubin. Vergil Ortiz hasn't been stopped to date, and I'll be honest with you, I don't think Erickson Lubin is that guy to be able to stop him. So those are the keys to victory for each fighter. Again, I wouldn't be surprised by either guy winning using their particular set of skills. I think either one can definitely take it. At this particular juncture, I'm going to lean a little bit more towards Vergil Ortiz. If I'm being honest, maybe it's a little bit of bias just because he's a bigger name. Again, Erickson Lubin, all the skills in the world, very, very talented guy. If he does beat Vergil Ortiz, he'll be able to start getting that much bigger fights. And I'm only slightly favoring Vergil Ortiz, if I'm being honest. I would not at all be surprised if Erickson Lubin came out with the victory. What do you think about that, my man?
Again, like you said, both of their styles kind of clash against each other. We already talked about the fact that Vergil Ortiz just keeps coming at you, whether he's going aggressive, whether he's going defensive. The fact of the matter is, Vergil Ortiz keeps moving forward, which is going to be a double-edged sword going up against Erickson Lubin, because Erickson Lubin, even though I would quantify him as more of an aggressive fighter, he does like to lay down traps. So Erickson Lubin, to give some credit to him, he is a crafty fighter. Now, to be honest, even Erickson Lubin, I would even say actually has more fight experience technically than so would a Vergil Ortiz. Unfortunately, I think it kind of plays kind of for and against for Erickson Lubin is that while he does have more fight experience against higher level talent such as the Sebastian Fundores, unfortunately, he did fall a little bit short. Now, with Vergil Ortiz's case, even though he doesn't have that much in the way of fight experience, again, Erickson Lubin has 6 more fights over Vergil Ortiz. But you have to remember, one of the wins that Vergil Ortiz does have pretty recently is against Israel Madrimov, which, if you recall earlier, went toe-to-toe with one of the greatest to do it in this era, which is Terrence Crawford. So I would argue that even though that Vergil Ortiz doesn't have nowhere near as much experience as in Erickson Lubin, I would say the caliber of opponents that he's faced is a little bit higher than would be in Erickson Lubin. So I do think while the amount of experience isn't quite there for Vergil Ortiz, the magnitude of that definitely would make up for it. We talked earlier about the fact that Vergil Ortiz keeps coming forward, keeps being aggressive, whether he's trying to go in the offensive or the defensive, he keeps moving forward. I think it's going to be a double-edged sword in that I think it's going to be an asset as much as it is going to be in inhibits against Erickson Lubin, because I think Erickson Lubin is going to lay down some traps, and unfortunately, I think Vergil Ortiz is going to be prone to falling for it, and can't say for certain, it might play against Vergil Ortiz. But I do think it might be a plus against Erickson Lubin, because the thing about laying down traps is that you kind of have to be more of a defensive fighter to be able to employ those effectively. Which again, I would say Erickson Lubin is more aggressive. And the fact that Vergil Ortiz keeps coming forward, keeps being aggressive no matter what, I do think while Erickson Lubin would want to lay down traps, I don't think Vergil Ortiz is going to give him that chance to capitalize on that. So I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of split on how this is going to go. But again, if I were to put my money down on this, part of me is leaning towards Vergil Ortiz, but again, I can see it going towards Lubin. I don't think any man is going to be able to knock the other man down, but I do think it's going to go majority decision for Vergil Ortiz if you were to ask me how I think the fight's going to go.
Look, man, that's a fair assessment. I think both of these guys bring enough of their own set of skills to be able to implement it on that night. I think it's just whoever makes the other guy play by their game is going to be the one that's going to take the W. Again, listen, nobody's knocked out Vergil Ortiz to date. Vergil Ortiz has an extremely high knockout percentage. I think it's only been like one or two fighters that have managed to make it to the end. Other than that, man, listen, Erickson Lubin, very crafty. Like you said, will set down traps. I think the one thing that goes against Erickson Lubin that he would do to himself is he's a little bit of a cocky guy. And what I mean by that is he believes he can make you play his game. And I don't think it's worked out to the best of his caliber, some of the opponents you mentioned in there. I do think Vergil Ortiz has faced higher caliber opponents. Just his last couple fights, man, they've been bangers. Some of them were even questionable if Vergil himself won. But listen, either way, I think it's going to be a great fight. Good matchup. Good matchup, by the way. I think both of these guys are going to get launched into something bigger if either of one of them wins. But let's see what happens, man. It's going to be interesting fight to watch. Make sure you guys keep your eye on it. And with that, make sure to like, comment, hate, subscribe, DM us about the bullshit, and
Until next time, get rest and stay blessed. We'll see you in the next one.